Hello everyone, this is Planckera, and welcome to my universe. So, we're here today, and I checked over everything. I think everything is mostly okay. I just realized that this breast is bigger than this breast, and that's basically the only thing I want to fix. I think everything else is okay. I debated with myself a little bit on whether or not I wanted to change her hips a little bit, and overemphasize the top-down view a little, but no, I'll probably adjust them a little, but not that much. Okay. But yeah, the size difference between these two, that's something I gotta fix. But that is pretty easy to fix. Once Krita catches up with me. It's lagging a little bit again. But there we go, it's going. So I'm just gonna carefully, very, very carefully, I don't think it needs to be that much smaller, so I will be just very, very, very carefully poking at the side there and shrinking it in the right places. Hello there, Protox. Welcome back. In order to get both the right shape and the right size here. And yeah, I was considering doing a little bit of stuff to get her hips to look like it was a little bit more under her. I do think I want to do just a little, but not a whole lot. So I'm going to take a look at this here. So let's see, looking at the character design, we have this part here kind of underneath, and because I'm lifting up her chest so much, I do think that even with her hips and torso kind of below her, as opposed to, how should I say, you know what, let me get my trusty friend, the stick figure. Okay, so if I were to draw this in a very simple way, I'll do it from the side. We got something like this, where the back is arched, the neck is kind of down here, and then we got the hips here, and legs are probably doing something out there. Hello there, Tamak. So just something like this. It's very dramatic. So I do have a little bit of a little bit of an extreme perspective here. I think it's less the perspective that's extreme and more the pose, but her head is a little bit big because I wanted to make it clear that we're seeing her from above, which is what makes me think that her hips might be a little bit big too. So perspective shenanigans. Do think I fixed that, and that's kind of what I've been debating with myself. I do look at the picture off stream. I don't work on it, but I do look at it to kind of get some ideas for what I might want to try. And I keep going back and forth on how I want to handle this part down here. So I do think at minimum, looking at her design here, so we have this part underneath the underneath her chest here, above her belly button, and then it kind of goes out here. You can see where her hips kind of go out there. So around here is like, I don't know, it's a convenient triangle around her hips, and I can use it as a very solid landmark. And what I think I want to do is I still want to get this part just a little bit more underneath her. And to do that, I might actually move the top part over a little. So it might be a little bit of both. But for now, I think I'm going to take these two layers here, I guess it's going to be 3. Just body and body shadow. And I'm going to move it around just a bit here. I have something in mind. We'll see if it works out, but frankly, I don't think this looks terrible. So if I can't get it to work, I'm just going to do it like this. So I'm just going to perspective the heck out of this. We're going to lift this up. And then I'm going to narrow it a lot. And I just really, really want to get this looking like it's going underneath her a little. And I was a bit worried about doing this because even if I succeed, actually, hold on. Even if I succeed, I'm probably gonna have to change the size of everything inside here, and I rendered the face fully at this point. I'd rather not make the face bigger if I can help it, because that would make things a little bit blurry and I might have to go over it again. And, you know, that's just no good. That's why I try to figure out the stuff early. So I'm gonna have to pull some shenanigans. What I think I'll do is make the flower that she's in a little bit smaller. And I can crop the image as necessary. But I would like to avoid having to redo a bunch of stuff if I can help it. I really would. You know, when I started this, I was really hoping it'd take maybe 4 or 5 episodes, and we're up at 10. So I ended up trying many different things and having a little bit of trouble getting the pose all put together and stuff like that. So I'd rather try to keep things simple for me. That's why at first I was like, do I really want to try to adjust it? Perfectionism says yes. So here we are. But this already looks so much better. It's like, dang nabbit, why does it actually have to make things look better? Well, once I make this effect look less two-dimensional, it's gonna be good. Okay, well, here we are. Where I get an idea, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta draw it now. Life is hard. But anyway, I'm gonna... Before I do anything like moving, changing the size of the flower she's sitting in, I'm just gonna fill it up with white here and see if I can make that work. But yeah, I like it, unfortunately. So I think that ultimately means I will probably keep something like this. Oh, and thank you very much. I did work quite hard on the crown. So I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Okay, so first thing first, I want to make this look a little bit less two-dimensional. I'm gonna bring out some of the straps here. And then a little bit on the back there, and then adjust my very, very, very rough red trim, so this part here. I didn't spend very long on it because it used to be at the very bottom of the screen. And now it's not, so here we are. So I'm going to say how long it takes me to kind of get this into place. As usual, I don't want to do too much rendering when I'm trying to get proportions right. But, you know, today was going to be entirely rendering, so I'll do it for the areas that I'm a little bit more confident in, which is, you know, around here and her arms. I think I can safely do those. They look okay. And we'll see how far through that I get. So I'm just looking at roughly how big this is. I can exaggerate the size just a little bit, but I don't want to overdo it too much. And things should get narrower at the bottom. It's just kind of awkward because I'm getting that effect at the hips. And her hips very wide compared to her waist. So I do need things to go out a little bit in order to make it look right. But because the perspective is so... here, let me do another quick demonstration here. Basically, the perspective I'm going for is if this is the top of my box, it does this. So you can see it's getting much narrower at the bottom. And it's a little bit awkward when the bottom of the box is, rather than perfectly straight, if it does something like this. So, because, you know, that's what the body's doing. So it becomes a little bit harder to just take this, plop the perspective filter on it. I'll just do that real quick. And get it like that. It's a little bit harder. I'll be able to manage. I know what to do. Fortunately, I have these nice, convenient skirt pleats that can kind of help me out. So I think that's what's going to make the perspective work for me. So I'm just kind of thinking about how to do that. And I believe I have the wings on that layer. Yes, I do. Fantastic. So if I think of the vanishing point as being somewhere down here, what I want to do, instead of having those going out, you know, they do go out, that's what they do. I want them to go a little further in and point a little bit more toward that vanishing point. And, you know, even though these pleats go really far out, I'm still gonna make them go a little bit further in. So we have the big pleat in the middle. Something like that, and then this will do something like that, where I'm just going to make sure that it's wider at the top than the bottom. And once I actually make that look like the skirt pleats, I think it'll be pretty okay. It definitely looks a little bit nonsense right now. What else is new? That's just how sketches work. Okay, and then I think another thing I can do to kind of sell it is on the trim layer, you see that there's these little bits of trim happening. I can show that a little. So it'll be curving down just very much on the extremes. I really hope I can get this to work because it will be really, really cool if I can. So something like that. I still don't think it's quite there. Okay, and then the other thing I can do is, again, on this layer, I want the top part of this to look really wide, and then the bottom part to look really narrow. It's a bit tricky. Why do I like perspective so much? It's just so cool. Can't help it. It's hard, but it's so cool. I can't help myself. And then at this angle, if this... Here, let me go put some black over here, just around her stomach. It'll be easier, and then I'll put the skin tone back in once I know where all that's gonna go. But if I want this to look really, really perspective-y, I think what I actually want to do is find the center of this diamond and make the horizontal center way higher up. Or is it higher up or lower down? Shoot. Oh god, the dyslexia. You know what? I'm gonna doodle outside again. Okay, so I think it's the lower part that needs to be long. But I'll draw both and see which one looks more perspective-y to me. It's the bottom. Okay. I did get it backwards. Yes. So, I want to make sure that the lower part here is shorter. So this should actually be about correct. And then I need to make sure that these straps that are coming up are, like, really coming up. Like, really, really hard. sharp angles only. So something like that, in theory, I don't think even that's sharp enough. Let's really get it up there. And then I think the wing things should still... They still gotta embrace the perspective. I don't think they're quite doing that yet. Let's try that again. So what I want them to do is I want to make it wide at the top and then just go to nothing and have them be super duper short. So really, really make them wide at the top, narrow at the bottom. Oh god, that's hard. Because they're so short to begin with. Okay, and then down here, fluff that out a little. It's better, but I'm not sure it's quite right. I think I'm also lining it up with the pleats a little bit too much. No. These line up pretty well with the pleats. Okay, never mind. We're good. So try to make it wide at the top, narrow at the bottom, but also have it pointing the right way. Lots of little considerations. I hate it, but I also love it, so it's okay. We're just gonna break my brain again today. It's fine. Fortunately, it's a fairly small part of the picture. But I actually do think that just moving the part that goes around her belly to right here actually made a pretty considerable difference. The big thing that I worry about is just that right now it feels like her dress is being pulled together when it's supposed to like really, really floof out. So I might still just add a little bit coming over here. And then figure out how to angle that downward a little bit more, just to aid in the perspective. I actually think that helps a lot. Now it kind of has that quality of going straight out from her hips, like it does here. Like you can see it's very straight through there. But still is angled down very sharply. And if I get this trim wrapping around all the way here, that might help a little, maybe, and I can even draw just a little bit of the red coming out here. Okay, I think that's acceptable. I think I can work with this. So, when I clean that up and make it look a little bit more like this, as opposed to just random lines kind of converging downward, so, some of these are probably going to need to go outward a little, and the way I think I'm going to do that is I'm just going to have these get extremely thin, and these ones can be a little bit wider. I guess I can try it now. Let's see what happens. Gonna clean this up a little. Okay, so we got the big pleat in the middle. It's very triangular, so I'm going to make it a little bit more triangular. Just send this way over here like this. And don't worry, I'll correct all these shadows. Actually, you know what? I can just put the trim on top. There we go. That works. Then I think the location of this one is fine. And we'll just make it real thin as it gets down there. So it'll do both movement in the skirt and perspective for me. Okay, and then it probably looks like things are going to get wide. They are, but I'm not going to make them as wide as I otherwise would. Does that work? I'll see how I feel about it in 5 minutes. The me of right now is happy. So, we'll see how I feel in 5 minutes. I'm gonna go work on her necklace. Alright. So before I do her arms here, I am kind of hoping to get her necklace and chest looking good, since this arm is behind it. It'd be convenient if I'm able to. And I don't know, I'm feeling pretty confident about her chest area, so I should be able to do that. And then I just noticed that there was a bit of a problem with the transparency mask there. Easy to fix, though. Okay. So let's see, I think I have all this in decent spots. Okay, you are not on the necklace layer. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I would like to get the shape of that pendant on her necklace right. Because right now it's like not even close. Can I find a higher quality image than the one I currently have? Yeah, I think this one's good. Okay. Alright, so with the way this actually looks, the diamondy part has a part that goes out really, really high. And I'm kind of debating on how I want to handle that. So it has something like an arrow on top. If, I'll go ahead and scroll over here, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But you see there's like this long part on top. And I just have it as a solid diamond for now. So just tracing that, I do think that the way I want to handle it is I want to cut into it over here. And now, you know, just start getting that shape in there. And then I can make the top part pointy. What kind of point you got? Okay, this is fine for now. You know what? I think once again I'm gonna put the detail layer over my line layer. Just help me out a little bit there. Okay. Yes, I think this is working. And I'm not too worried about that red part. I will fix it after. This is another one of those rigid things that I always have trouble drawing, so I want to make it as easy for me as possible. Alright, let's go ahead and carve out that shape. And then the top is long and pointy. How long and how pointy? Okay. And then this part actually comes down. It's very flat at the bottom. It's kind of like a spade on card suits. That's kind of what it reminds me of. An arrowhead or a spade or something. Okay, I think that's pretty close. So it should be good once I clean it up a bit. Okay, and then the part that it curls into over here. It kind of comes up and around. Just like that. And I'm putting in curves for now. I'll straighten them out later, but the pendant itself is curved and I need to be able to see that right now in order to draw it properly. So I'm not going to worry about the straights for now. They will come. But first I got to get everything sitting on her correctly. I'll drive myself crazy if I try to do all the things at once. Okay. So, messy, but fine, I think. And then it has this little blue gem on top. It is an oval, but I'm gonna have to not make it like that. And man, I have to use another color here, huh? Yeah, I don't think that there's any avoiding it for this one. This is like the only place where blue's in our character design, though. It's weird. Like, am I crazy? Is blue used anywhere else? No, I really don't think so. Oh, that's fine. That's alright, I'm getting it from Krita, not the web. I don't have to look for my color picking extension. And I'm just gonna draw it as the oval for now. How much space do you take up? So you probably start about here and end about here. No, a little higher. Here. Okay, and then on the edges... Here... Here... Just kind of mapping out the points that I see that it kind of passes through. Here and here, and that should be my oval. I think I have it made it a little bit thick on that side. And to be fair, I do want it to be sticking out a little, because this one actually looks like it's sitting on top instead of being kind of inset in the gold like some of our other accessories. So this time I'll have this kind of bulging out a little bit. Okay, and I'll start with it there. Here, I'm just gonna draw directly on the layer here because I don't feel like making a new one, and that's fine. So I haven't drawn like the little spines or anything on it yet. I don't want to just yet. So what I see is that we have a little tiny divot up here. Then we have the stuff going around the gem, but I think I'm just going to do that on the gem layer like I have been. It's been working very well for me. Then there's a ridge going around the side here. Just separate from the pattern in the middle there. Do we see it at the bottom at this angle? Probably a little. I think it's going to go up kind of like this. And then kind of fade into nothing there. I'm just sketching it out for now. And then it looks like this ridge kind of disappears into the neck piece up here. So it's just like that. And then if I were to add the 3D-ness to it, it'd be like this. I just want to make sure that I have those two ideas separate in my head here. Because this is a separate thing. Okay. Then next, we've got almost... I can't tell if it's supposed to be like butterfly-shaped or heart-shaped, but it looks more heart-shaped to me right now. Okay, and this does tell me that I need to make that gem a little bit bigger. Okay. Just trying to get things proportionate. I noticed that there was a little line at the bottom there, and with the way I had it, it was a little bit too long. So that told me that I needed to make the gem just a little bit longer. Okay, now let's get that kind of heart-shaped thing in there. I'm gonna leave it kind of heart-shaped. There's like little pointy spines coming out of this pendant here, and they kind of break into this heart shape here. But I don't want to draw those just yet. I want to get the rest of the structural details correct before I get into that too much. And then it goes into... No, it doesn't. I have... this is correct. So it goes like that. Same on the other side. Gets real close to the edge, right around there. Goes out. And then comes down. And this side will be a little thicker. Because I think we see it a little bit more clearly on this side. So, something like that. Okay, and I think that's pretty passable. Especially considering I haven't drawn in the little spines yet. Alright, let's do that now. So I'm going to stare at those little thorns, the little spines coming out. Let's see here. Alright, so... For the record, I don't like this blue. I'm going to change it. I know I color picked it from her, but, you know, whatever. It's my picture. I can make it brighter if I want. So what we got is a little something like this. And then it's the same on the other side, but we don't really see it coming out there, so I think I only need to draw like this part right here. Okay, and then there's some smaller ones over on the other side, making a little bit of an X shape. Just looking at it relative to the gem here. And does it go on top of that ridge? It does not. So it'll go out like this. And then up here. And the same on this side. Okay. And you know what? I think that's good. Yeah, I think that'll look good. Let's fix the color. I want this to be brighter. I've made a couple of colors on her just a little bit brighter here. I kind of hate that there's just this random blue in the middle there, but I don't feel like I can change the color. Because, like, it doesn't work white. It definitely has to be the blue. Otherwise, it doesn't look like the same pendant. But I don't like adding... When I draw in this style, I like to use very, very few colors. And when you're doing that, and you add another color, and it's the only time you'll use that color, it just draws so much attention to itself, and... Here, I think it's probably fine. People who are going to stare there anyway, it's probably okay. But it still offends me. I think that color's pretty good. It gets pretty close to white there. Okay. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do is perfect this thing, and then I'll get up and into the rest. So this is gonna have to be moved a little bit, that's fine. It's totally fine. Okay, so I'll start with the gem, as I tend to do. Actually, I'm probably gonna have to go back and forth between both of these and make sure that the thing holding the gem actually matches. Make sure that everything is, like, centered properly and that it all looks good. This one kind of came together faster than the crown did. To be fair, it's a lot simpler than the crown. That crown was something, man. I really am glad that it came out good. And I am always glad to hear when the things that are really, really hard do indeed end up working out, so thank you again, Tamak. So I want to get this shaped well, and what I want this to look like. You notice that I'm making the top a little bit pointier there. I want to make it look like it is coming out of this. So that means that we're seeing it from the side. And that means it's not going to be a perfect oval. If we saw it from the top, Just only the top. I mean, to be fair, we're mostly seeing it from the top, so I probably should make it a little bit less pointy than this, but I'll get there in a second. I also need to straighten this out, but like I said, I'll get there in a second. If we were seeing it just straight on from the top, it would be a perfectly round, but since this is sticking out of the pendant, we're kind of seeing it a little bit differently. We see where it gets kind of pushed inside and what is holding it in place and that kind of thing. So I want to make it clear that this is somewhat of a side view too. But like I said, I probably have it a little bit too pointy there. A little bit too... Yeah, let me do it like this. So if we start from the top, like this. Saw it from the side, like this. Where it comes out. Then we have the flat side where it's sitting on the pendant. And it's somewhere between this. I think this is pretty good, though. I think this is pretty alright. Okay, now I just gotta make it square instead of round. Okay, so in that case, I want this to be a little flat, kind of right through here. Probably a flat part there. And I'm just gonna chip away at the edge here until it is doing what I want. I think that the only other thing besides her eyes that's gonna be round in this picture is her chest. And while this is on her chest, it is not her chest. I can make it square. Just, I don't know, I feel like if I tried to make her chest square, it just would feel wrong. So, I think there are some people that I could pull that off with if they were a little bit flatter, but not her. Okay. So, not quite right, but closer. I'm gonna go in a little closer here. Let's really straighten those parts out. It's gonna look a little bit more like a diamond than kind of the oval shape, but I think that's okay. It's just a side effect of the stylistic choice. Just like I made the other circles on her crown hexagons, I'm kind of doing the same thing here. This is just a really long hexagon. Actually, it's an octagon, isn't it? Yeah, whatever, I know my shapes. I think my daughter would give me a hard time for that because she's been learning all about shapes and math lately. She actually gets really mad when I talk about implied lines. And she's like, you know, this shape isn't closed, so it's not actually a shape. But I just always tell her my imagination, I see the finished line. Because, I know you do. It's true. The brain will see such things, and it's pretty incredible, honestly. Or even if I draw a shape like this, you just automatically finish it. You don't even have to think about it. I could even do it like that, and you'd probably still finish it in your head. Brains are funny. Okay, and I want to get these top and bottom halves a little bit closer to the same. So I'm gonna do that. Try to line them up on both sides here and then get it just really straight. As always. And with the way that this is shaded on her model, I don't know what kind of... I don't know the names of like gem cuts or anything. But this is looking more like what I would see with like opals or pearls or something. in that it is like just round. It is not like a diamond cut. Like I said, I don't know what the technical terms are. So all I can do is compare it to other things I do know. And as such, I will shade accordingly. Once I finish shaving some of these things off. And it's a little skewed, but otherwise okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. So I want the side here to be like really, really thick. But on the other side, it's going to be quite thin. I just want to make sure that I have the usual line going all the way around. But I want to make it clear that we are seeing the side here. This, I think, might be a little bit too thick. It is supposed to be round, after all, which does have a little bit of a different quality. There we go. That's, yeah, that's fine. And then the white, let's see, where do I want the light to be hitting? Probably right about here. And I'll put a smaller one right there. That should make it look a little bit more rounded, while still being full of straight lines. And yeah, I think that's fine. Looks fine to me. Let's go on to the next part. And smooth out the metal part. I'm scared, but here we go. Okay. So I do think I have most of this in good spots. Let's make the... Let's see, which side of the spike am I going to see? This side. Yes, no. No, we definitely see more of the top than the bottom. Sometimes that dyslexia gets me. And I end up doing exactly the opposite of what I actually need to do. And this does mean that I probably want things to get... No. I was thinking maybe I wanted to get a little thinner down here, but no, I don't, because while we see things from the top, we also see things from the left. I think that's left, right? Yeah, so this is correct, what I have. Feeling good about it. My mind is moving at like 1,000,000 miles per hour here. Okay, so I want to get this straight now. All the straights. So this is indeed where I will start eliminating all of those curved lines I was using to help me just get this drawn. But fortunately, it was pretty easy. Not too bad at all. I want to start with this outer edge. I'm gonna color over the thorn there, it's fine. I'll fix it after. And let's see, there's a bunch of stuff I feel like is getting in the way here. So I'm gonna hide her body and the background shape. There we go, now I can see. And I can just make sure that these lines are very nice, and I am not zoomed well. There we go. 266% is kind of like 133%. It always looks bad to me. Okay, but I can get that looking nice now. Get those lines nice and straight. And then I can go from there. So let's see here. Let me double check how those thorns stick out. Okay. So they are like connected to this piece. Okay, I see how this should go. So we have here. I could probably color this entire area just a black. But I don't think I will. Actually, yeah, how would it look if I did? Does this look better? Because basically on her design, this part here is like carved into the gold. So it's a darker shadow because it's just carved into it. So I'm debating, do I just want to leave it like that? I probably could. You know what? I'll think about it. And then I should actually... Okay, I need to change the size of this ridge a little bit because I kept it a consistent width all the way around, but it actually gets thicker near the top. So it actually comes up a little bit more like this. And I do want to keep it thin. I'm just staring at it closely for a little bit, because, let's see, here, down to there, I do think that that is placed correctly, but this needs to be thicker near the top, and then it gets thinner through there. Okay. I'm gonna start getting the outer edge around here now. So I think I've got this edge looking pretty nice. I'm gonna get this one now, before I worry too much about the inside. Because I think that they're going to kind of come together. They will... I have to get one piece looking really good before I can get the other, I think. Because I think this actually kind of comes up here a bit, and I will need to move this heart shape a little. I just had this a little bit off center. Fairly normal for me. Such things are hard. Got my usual itchy nose, don't worry about it. I had to hold off there for just a second. Okay. Back to shapes. So I'm trying to eliminate all the curves here now. Make them nice and straight. There we go. That looks pretty nice. And I think I want to do the same to the other side before I get into this arrow piece. So actually for that, I think I will start down here. So I want a nice thin line running all the way down here. It must be thin. I don't want there to look like there's a lot of thickness there. Because this is just defining the edge as opposed to defining a side. Yeah, there we go. That's working. I'm not quite sure if I like it sharing a corner with this part of her hair, but I don't think it's enough of a problem that I need to fix it. It just mildly offends my sensibilities. Only mildly. That's why this time it'll be okay, and I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, and then here... There's going to be that ridge going around the edge there. And on this side, I think it comes up a little bit more like this. It needs to be a little bit more parallel with the edge, but we see much less of that ridge on this side. Okay, that's about right. And let's see. All of this is hidden by the hair. I'm not going to worry about it. Sometimes I paint underneath. It can be extremely useful. I don't think it is here, so I'm not going to take the extra effort. And then over here, we do see a big part of the edge there, so I will make that line very thick. And on this side, we don't see the edge here. We do right here. I'm just kind of trying to line that up a little bit better. But not here on this side. So I'll keep that line nice and thin. Drew a little bit over there, that's okay. And then we start seeing it again right about there. So right here gets to be thick. Okay. Looks good to me. Back to this side. So we have the thick part here, where we see a little bit of the side, and then it gets thin through there. And let's see, I don't feel like you're straight. Rather, I don't feel like the pointy part is sitting on her chest straight. And that will affect how I draw the rest here. Okay, so there we go. There we go. I just want to straighten this out a little bit. I think it's mostly looking okay, though. Very, very straight through there. Okay. Oops, I have the wrong color picked. There we go. I was gonna say, I just need to get these two halves to kind of line up at the same place now. Let's see, this side is too low. It is not respecting the angle of her shoulders. So this part needs to come up a little bit. This needs to point a little further this way. We're just going to do a little bit of liquefy in here. I actually think it'd be useful for this side to come down a little. This side can come up a little. Down, down. Unfortunately, this means I'm going to have to go over some things again, but oh well. Such is life. I'm a little sad because I actually thought that those little lines were looking pretty good. But it is worth to get this all lining up right. And then I think the bottom is just a touch off here. Trying to get this to sit flat on her chest. There we go. Now let's see, are you sitting a little flatter now? A little bit. I think only up here is a bit off now. Like I said, I'm largely ignoring the red part for the time being. There we go, that's much better. I like that a lot. Just needed a little bit of adjustment. The thorns will probably need a little bit of adjustment too. It's all good. I will adjust that when the time comes. But it is not yet time, so it's okay. I'm just gonna make this straight. It has, you know, kind of a curve to it there, so if I could probably do it a little bit more like that, and it'd be perhaps a little bit more accurate, but I think I just want to make it straight. The curve, I think, would end up being a little bit too small. Ah, hello there, Shinora. Welcome back. So far, so good. Art is going well. Kind of impossible. I'm an anime girl on the internet. I know it's pretend, but I do try to avoid getting too deep into parasocialism. Okay, let's see here. I just want to straighten out this line a bit. All right. You know, sounds good. You can be what you want to be. And I will just go in and clean up lines. Okay, and I do kind of have to go back over here. Those lines are looking a little bit blurry to me. Just a little bit. Okay, and now I can come out here and up, and, you know, the lines on the necklace are kind of in the way now. So I will hide them. And up there, back down. This side will be thicker because we're seeing the side. All the usual stuff. And I just want to meet straight over there. And there we go. I think that has eliminated all the curves here. And I think this is going to be like the hardest detail in this whole area. So hopefully, I can more quickly get through the rest. Because man, I swear, drawing all the jewelry is definitely one of the hardest parts for me. Jewelry always takes me a second. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of make certain parts a little bit thicker here, because I do feel like we're seeing the side. I always like to make that clear. Here, I'm not trying to make the line thicker. I want to move it. I think it needs to be a little bit higher. I just want it to line up a little bit better with the top there. But okay, I think that's looking all right now. So right here's a little bit blurry. I still feel like it's a little skewed, so let's adjust that just a little. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's a lot less skewed, and it didn't even make the edge that blurry. Unfortunately, it did mess with this top piece, which I think is also now skewed in a different way. There we go. I do want it to get it sitting on her chest well. And I actually do think that we see a little bit of this right here, because we do see the top. There we go. Okay, and now I can get some of the kind of interior designs here. I'm gonna start with these thorns that are sticking out. How big is it? Yeah, I think I have this at a pretty good location and size. So I'm just gonna go out and around it here. Same on this side. But before I go ahead and finish it off, it needs to kind of overlap with that big shadow on the side there. I want to get this ridge in there. And actually, before I get the ridge, I want to get this thorn too. So I should know the location of this heart-shaped part. I still don't know if I want it to be completely black like I currently have it, or if I want to put in some gold parts. But I'll just leave it like this for now. It'll be easy to add in the gold parts if I decide I want them. And then I can just cut the thorn shape right back in there. Okay, let's see. Up at the top there. I want to line these up better. So here, here, and then down. There we go. I think that is lined up much better now. Yeah, and I feel like these are much more the same shape now. Okay, and then I should be able to just finish that down all the way to the bottom. There is a little line there. I'm gonna kind of go over it again here. So this line just goes straight down into the corner, I think. No, it doesn't. It only goes to the ridge. Okay. You know, I'm glad I checked. Okay, and now I feel like I can get that ridge really accurate. Because I know exactly where that heart part is. I think I actually will leave it black. I think I like this. Maybe I'll just add like a little highlight or something to make it clear that it is gold. But I don't know. That will be a job for a little bit of science at the end. Okay. So this is where the line gets a little bit thicker. The ridge gets a little bit thicker. It's really, really thin at the bottom, and then it gets a little thicker there. And then it gets really, really thick up at the top. So I think it actually connects about here. That looks about right to me. And I know we're seeing the side of this, so I do want the line to be just a little bit thicker here. And then I'll just send it all the way through. Okay, I'm just trying to get this corner straight. Right now, I feel like it gets a little bit curved, so I really, really want to straighten that out. I never realized just how heart-shaped this pendant was, just because there were so many, like, so many, how to say... Basically, it doesn't actually look like a heart. I think that's the best way I can put it. But now that I'm actually drawing it, it is amazingly heart-shaped. Words are especially hard today for some reason. I guess some days are like that. Okay. So now I'll get it on this side where the ridge will be very thin and also the line will be very thin because we are not seeing any part of the side here. Gonna try to get it all in one stroke because this one will be hell to clean up if I don't. And I wasn't able to, so yep, I just gotta put up with a little bit of hell, it's fine. There are worse things in the world, I suppose. But I think it's coming out. I think it's coming out. Okay. So I think we're good there, and now those bottom thorns, you know, the thing I was trying to draw in the first place, they just go all the way out to the ridge here. So I want to draw that out. Gonna make this line thicker because we do see the side there. Gonna unlock the layer just so I can get a little bit more in there. There we go. And I can lock it again and then clear out this line. So I don't need it there anymore. The thorn sits on top. Okay. And then same thing here. I don't have to be quite as dramatic with this one though. Let's see, which side do we see? I think it actually is this one, which feels a little bit weird, but that looks more correct than the other one. That's why I tried both. And then I noticed that there's a small hole there and I had to unlock the layer to fill it in. Okay. Now I can safely clean that up. Alright. Next. This thorn. So I'm looking closely at it here. What does it actually do? Okay, no, yeah, I think the way I have it drawn is fine. Up here, down here. And then I want this part to be a little bit pointier. And then it'll go into this heart shape. Just like this. Yeah, that's quite nice. I have to clean up some of the stuff around it, but that's alright. I can do that. But this is exactly what I want. And I just realized that I've been spending like an hour on this silly little pendant. I like to keep track of these things. I mean, I kind of laugh at myself there. But I think this is good information to have. I need to know what's slowing me down in order to meet my art goals at this point. Because I would like to be faster. And, you know, it's very possible that getting all these angles just right was not actually worth like an hour. And I mean, to be fair, part of that was also spent on the skirt, so maybe it hasn't been quite that long, but still. I like to explicitly think about these things. I do think that in the long run, it'll help me get to where I want to get creatively. And I do think that the first step to figuring anything out is just collecting sufficient information. That's all I'm trying to do here. Okay, so there's the thorns, and then back to the picture and not be angsting about being slow. Let's see, there's like just a tiny little divot here. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be, but I'll put it in. It'll just be a little triangle, I guess. Okay. So I think that's good, and now I think I can add in highlights. So no, I think this is the side that gets the highlight. Trying to be very particular about it. And I think this is the side that catches the highlight here. And I'm just being very, very careful. I don't want to undo a bunch of the stuff I just did. That would be very sad. And then maybe a little bit of shine right here. This is how I like to do metallic shines generally. Just put a couple of lines through here, and it'll generally look pretty good. There's another one right there. And, like, right on the edge here. Ooh, I gotta be real careful with that one. Line does not wish to be drawn straight. I don't know, maybe I should just get my line tool. Let's do it. I think that'll make it a little easier. And then I can just go straight. That is way too thick. Please be thinner. Okay, not that then. Alright, so now I should be able to get that perfectly straight. And that is indeed perfectly straight. It might honestly be a little bit too straight, but you know what? I think it's fine. Then I just want to get the gold right up to it, just because I didn't have that perfectly straight when I drew it the first time, and you know, that's okay. Want another little highlight running through here. And one more just right there. I think that'll really just make the rest of it pop, and I think that's perfect. Hello there, cakes. Welcome back. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Let me see. Is there like something underneath it, or is that just... Yeah, there might be something underneath here. I was gonna say, I just thought I saw something there. Let me see if I can get a good shot of it. Because it is a little bit hard to tell if it's actually part of the pendant there, or, like, her cleavage. Ah, thank you. I've been working quite hard. I finally got this accessory. Doing what I want. Okay, there is a little droopy thing. Okay, I better get that in then. So let's see. Little droopy thing. Almost missed this. Goes like this. And then just has a little kind of teardrop shape at the end that I will be turning into a diamond for my purposes. No. Teardrop is going to be bottom heavy, not top heavy. I still want to have the same impression there. I just don't want to use any curved lines. outside of the kind of select few places that I think absolutely need curved lines. So there we go. Let's try to get this tear-shaped but straighter. So kind of an elongated diamond. Okay, I think that should be fine. And then I just, you know, carry down the black right where I left off. Right where I left off. And this guy will get a highlight too. And I really hope that this all lines up with the rest of her chest, because I'll be sad if it all looks wrong and I did terrible, terrible things. There we go, a little highlight for that guy. And I think that's it. Okay, let's go turn her skin back on. Moment of truth here. It lines up. We're good. I mean, I have this a little bit straight. So, let's see, the bottom part that I just drew there, I think I will tilt it. It does look like it just kind of falls into her cleavage a bit, so I think that this is accurate. And I'll just let it kind of tilt and follow that a little bit. Perfect. Okay. So there we go. Finally got the silly pendant. Let's do the red part. So the red part, I'm going to have to change a bit. I am, in fact, just going to erase what I currently have and move it to a slightly better spot now that I have the rest of the pendant doing what I want. Okay. Because I should be able to replicate that without... Come on, get the color. Get the color. You can do it, Krita. I don't know what was wrong there, but something sure was happening. Anyway. Okay, so the way this diamond works is that there's this long part that comes out right around the pendant. And then it comes up here. I might need to hide her head for a second. You know what? I'm just gonna do that, actually. She doesn't need her head right now. It's fine. I'll give it back to her later. Okay. So now I should be able to draw the shape. It's actually, like, curved on her actual model, so I'm gonna draw it curved for now. I'll straighten it out after. But this will help me see what I need to do, and then I can hopefully place it just a little bit more accurately. Let's get that in, and then it connects up into the neck through there. Okay. I'm still being a little bit messy. I just need to get the shape back doing what it's supposed to be doing. Now that I have the pendant drawn. What I had before was just not quite right. And now I'm going to start kind of straightening it out. It's fine if the lines are a little thick. They needed to get thicker anyway. And then we have the little pointy part at the bottom there, where it kind of goes right into the pendant. That should be good. I'm going to put her head back on now. Okay, so I'm going to go work on the part that goes into the pendant here, just because they do overlap a little bit. And I have, you know, the pendant drawn already. So I want to make sure that those parts are connecting properly and that any part of the pendant I have to redraw a little, you know, is all good. So yes, I will start right there. This part will get lines, but not shadows. It looks sewn into the material, basically. Sewn into the material of her necklace. So it does not need any, like, special 3D effect or anything. Does not. So it's just gonna have thin lines all the way around. But I want to get the shape in first. This feels too thick. I'd say it's probably a little too thick. So let's take it back just a little. Get the thickness exactly where I want it to be. And then I can go and put the lines back in. Okay. Is that right? Is it sitting on her chest correctly? Is it large enough? I think it's a little small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I think I just made the line a little bit too long. It's fine. There we go. Once I clean that up, that should be pretty okay. Okay, and now I actually have to care about, like, all of the other decorations on her neck here. I've been largely ignoring them, but now I can no longer do that. So, let's start getting those in. Those are going to be quite a thing. Looks like the ones down here are red. So I'm going to start sketching those in. Where did they connect with the pendant? Exactly. They kind of get close to the top. And then they just kind of go up. It turns to gold. And fortunately, it looks like I only have to care up to about here. So I don't have to get all this stuff. I'm grateful. Okay, so something like this, just because I have to keep things straight. Gonna leave it a little bit rough for now. I don't want to have to go back and forth between one on my screen, so I'm gonna go find another one on the internet. Here we are. Okay, so it's gold and red. That's a little awkward, but that's okay. Okay. And then, yep, it just follows the diamond up through here. And let's go ahead and get the gold into it, too. So up on the top part here, all of this is gold. But on the bottom part here, the part facing the diamond is red and the part facing away is gold. It's a little thicker here. It's kind of like this. Yep, kind of like that. And then in the middle there is just skin. But throughout here is necklace. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of perfect the shape here. I'm gonna keep it curved for now. I will straighten it out later, as I've been doing. So I do think that the shape I have here is correct, and if I were to put my details layer back on, I'll go ahead and erase everything here. Not really necessary. We'd get something like this, where this part comes down. See, this part comes down like this. And then there should be no white over here. And then there's another part. It's white, which is why I didn't erase, but it kind of comes up here and up like this. Messy. But I need to get the details in before I can properly draw them. This is exactly why I spent so much time just working out where the center is and where some of these things had to live, because otherwise this part would be a complete nightmare. But, you know, as it is now, it's not too bad. Because I have a rough idea of the structure going on here and where things should live. I have these too close. This needs to be further away. And the reason I noticed that it needs to be further away... Let's see, it should line up with the top of this thing. But basically the reason I noticed is that there's like this little seam or ridge or something on the necklace. And it goes between this big red one and the little details on the outside. So that just immediately tells me I need a little bit more space here. Because otherwise I would never be able to fit that in. And I also don't feel like this is sitting on her properly, so... Let's fix that. This part needs to come this way. And when I say that I don't think it's sitting on her properly, this part is like a singular plane. It's mostly flat. Like there's got to be little bumps and stuff throughout this area because that's just how bodies are. But for the most part, it should sit flat on this plane, and if it doesn't, that means I've done something wrong. And that I should fix that. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying to get this to be sitting flat on her chest here. This, not her neck. Her neck is underneath her head. I saw it briefly when I cut off her head for a moment, so I could see what was underneath a little bit better. Okay. I still don't think this is sitting on her quite right, so I'm gonna keep pawing at it and try to get that diamond shape sitting very smoothly here. Very flat. This is why I didn't spend a lot of time smoothing it out yet. I knew I'd be pawing at it with Liquify because I always do. And now I feel like I can actually get in those little seams that I was talking about. Let's see, what they do is they kind of come out right about here, then go up and follow the shape of the necklace just all the way up. I want to get that a little bit more accurate. Because trying to liquefy this part on its own would be utter hell, so I want to try to get it a little bit more accurate than what I had before. Okay, but I do have to do a little bit here. Oh yeah, that's right, I put it on a different layer, so no, liquefying it is actually easy. Okay. You know what, I'll take it. Okay. No, you have to go down a little bit more. And so do you. Tuck in a little here. Pull out a little here. Tuck in a little here and here. There we go. Now that looks like it's sitting a little bit better on her. Okay, and... one more kind of following the edge there. I think I actually have that one half drawn. No, I don't. This one is supposed to be This one is not in the right place. I did not draw it right. Okay, let's try that again. This time I'm gonna actually look at things a little bit more closely. Let's see. So it kind of curves up. You know, I got that curve going well there. That's the edge. And then it merges with the edge. And this tells me that I don't have this edge quite right. Probably comes up a little bit more like this. The angle's a little bit wrong. And then it comes together at the corner here. This one I think can just go out like that. That's fine. I'll go ahead and fill this all in with white again. And I should follow that edge all the way out. So it'll be like this. And then I just have this little edge coming up there. And that seems correct to me. It needs to be a little bit more like that. I just made the executive decision to not curve it this time. I think I can make this one straight just right away. I do not find that straight difficult to read. Not in the slightest. Okay. And there's one more that kind of goes from the top of her shoulder down to the one I just did. So that would be her shoulders like over here. Man. Okay, so this one goes from probably over here to about here. I don't think we see it. And then there's another one that probably goes from about here to about here. Oh, this should be super thin. And the one on the other side, probably here to about there. So kind of just like that. Lots of little things going on here that you don't really notice until you really look at it. I swear, you never know what something looks like until you try to draw it. Okay. No, this all looks correct to me. So I'm going to kind of straighten up everything that I've been drawing here. I do not think that the necklace edge should be that thick. This looks like a very thin cloth to me, so I'm going to kind of take it back a bit. And now I can really get in and just render this fully. It's going to be a little bit of an adventure. This necklace is surprisingly complicated. God, I just think about what it took to rig this model. And I'm just like, it must have been hell. There is so much little stuff going on just everywhere. And you have to care about every single one of those tiny details when you're rigging stuff, because if even one of them is a little bit off, it's surprisingly easy to notice. It will lose its three-dimensionality. And that's terrifying. I'm always blown away at what a lot of riggers can do. I really want to improve my own skills there. I'd like to make myself a new model someday. Someday. Someday the time will be right. And my skills will be sharp. And I'll make a version 2 and it'll be great. But for now, I'll just get all of these tiny little details in her costume. Okay, and yeah, I'll go ahead and get that little... Actually, I think before I do this part, I'm gonna do the big red part here. Let me see, are you guys sitting well? I don't think this necessarily looks like her chest. I think it looks more like her neck because of how I have the shadows drawn, but I'm not really sure how to avoid that. Let me see, maybe if I show a little bit more over here. I can make it clear that it's her chest and not her neck. Yeah, this looks like it's all going in there now. It still looks kind of neck-like, and I'm concerned. But I'm just not really sure what to do about that, because, like, her neck is just firmly under there. And I do have the shoulders and whatnot all in the right place. It's just that, you know, there's so many shadows from so many other things, and most of her shoulders are covered up by her hair. So I think it's just an unfortunate consequence of the angle that I chose. I'm not quite sure what to do about it. Alright, let me get the same details that I put over here back onto this area that I just cleared. So what you do, this line is going to go all the way back here, and you share. And we just go like that. And then there's like another line coming from the shoulder up here. And it's gonna go kind of out like this. But I think that's all I need there. So let's go get those colors. I think they're sitting where they need to be sitting. So I can just go ahead and draw them in. Okay, and I'm just straightening out these lines here until they are as straight as I want them to be. These ones here are a little thinner because they're like half red, half gold, but I think that they're all connecting at the right place. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to line this yet. And this needs to be pointier. I want it to come together at a nice point. That's much better. Much, much better. Okay. Okay. And then from there, I'll get this middle one. I think it's sitting well, so I can just go ahead and kind of go over everything I already drew and just make those edges nice and crisp, just the way I like it. Okay, and this does mean that I think some of the black lines here are a little bit off, but only a little, so I don't think I need to, like, pot them with liquefy or anything. Let me check my reference here one more time, and okay. I think I have this red and gold part drawn the way I want it to be, so I just kind of need to straighten it out. And then I can get those last few little details with the black. And make sure it's all doing what I want. You know, I thought I was gonna get further through the rendering today, but then I'm just like, ooh, details. Let's draw every single one. But I think it looks good. I think I did a good job on that, so... all is well. Okay, I think that's tapering off nicely. Okay, and then just need to straighten this part out. Make sure that red is nice and straight too. And there we go. I think that is great. It is really sticking in there just the way I want. I'm gonna check it real quick. Yep, that looks like it's sitting on her chest quite nicely. So I am satisfied. Does she have collarbone showing? No. Okay, excellent. So that means I do have everything drawn correctly. I was just realizing, oh no, did I not have that in there just because collarbones are common with this kind of design. But no, it's all covered by her necklace. I have everything drawn just right. Okay, so I'm gonna get some of these black details in, and then I'm gonna worry about lining the colored parts. Okay. So right now I think I have this line too thick, but I also don't have it very straight. So I'm kind of feeling out where the line should go, and then I'm going to make it thinner. So I felt like I had the angle just a little bit off there, and so I'm correcting it, and that's making the line very, very thick as a result. But there we go. Oh, it's all good. Okay. I think it's fine for that bottom part to be just a little bit thicker there. This is another place where I feel like my line is a little bit off. So I'm going to fix the angle, and then I'll worry about making it the right width. So you can see I'm kind of extending it a little further out there. And now I can get the width the way I want it. Kind of the same down here. But now that it's there, I think it's looking a lot better. And I can just kind of go from there. And the best part is, once I have all these little details drawn, you can see I'm missing like a couple of spots of the necklace here. I'll be able to just fill in that real easy because all I need to do is paint with white on the bottom layer I have. So that'll be, you know, really, really simple. I just gotta get through all this complicated stuff. Okay, so line thickness. I think it's good. I don't quite like the location in this corner, though. I want this to be a little higher. Which unfortunately is gonna make the line blurry, and I'll have to go over it again, but it's okay. It's more important for everything to be in the right place. I can put in a little bit more effort to get it just the way I want it to I want the corner to be a little bit closer. I think that'll fix the perspective there. And actually, you know what? I think that will look fine when I zoom out. Oh, no, no, no. Too bad. I was wrong. Does not look fine when I zoom out, so I better clean that a little. Just needs to be a little bit less blurry. Okay. That good, though? Not up top. Up top is still a little bit too blurry. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I can live with that. So let's see. I just have this line and this line. This one I think I'm just going to redraw from scratch here. I think that would be easier than trying to correct it. And this one is straightforward. But I do need to get the line width right. These lines should be quite thin. These are tiny details. I do not want them to have thick lines. I do not. Okay, there's one. Let's get the other. Nice and straight right through there. And I just need to get that line to be nice and thin. Okay, and I think that's perfect. So now all I gotta do is correct this line that's coming out from like side of her shoulder, which I think is like right about there. And then we just have this nice thin little line coming down like that. There we go. And I think that is the necklace. So let's go get the lines around these colored parts. I'm just going to draw directly on the colored layer. I'm feeling bolder now. It was nice having the separate layer while I was still kind of figuring things out, but I don't think I need it anymore. I just want to get some nice thin lines separating these things. And I do feel like these things are woven into the fabric, or possibly dyed, or, you know, however else such a thing might be made, and thus we're not, like, seeing the side of anything. So I will be keeping the lines thin. I do not want to add any thickness. I added just a little bit right here. Right here was the one exception. Because this is not part of the necklace. This is just her skin right here. So I wanted it to be, like, kind of like this. In fact, it probably needs a little bit more. So that is why that this spot right here is the one exception. This part gets a little bit of extra thickness. Okay. And then through here. Still being very gentle. I just have the layer locked so that this way my life is a little bit easier. I don't really want to color outside of this. And the lines are supposed to be super thin. Super, super thin. But I think it's looking pretty good, so I am pleased. This is just the last little thing that I think it needs. Oh, yeah, and of course filling in the white parts. I guess I should do that too. That's probably pretty important. And then I can get on to her chest. Get the upper part of her dress done, and I think I can still get that much done today. I was not expecting to spend the whole time on the necklace. Me. Yeah, there were just lots of little details, and anytime I see something like that, I like to portray it very accurately. Which means lots of staring at it, and then lots of messing around with perspective and whatnot. And there were just lots of little things that I just had to get in there. But now it's done. Now it's done. Colored a bit out of the lines are right around here. Huh, are you part of the top then? Yep, okay. There. And there. It does look nice. I'm still kind of berating myself for taking an hour on it, but, you know. What's done is done. Let's go do the next part. Okay. So here is a part where I can actually keep things pretty round. Let me see, that's right, there's one more little necklace part, and it's this transparent part that I just put on the body layer. So I guess I should get that too. Let's see, where do you connect there? A little bit below that. Okay. No, I have it in the right spot. Okay, we're good. I thought I might have had it in the wrong spot just because of how I handled making all the lines straight. But yeah, there's this little transparent piece in it. And I just decided to put that on the body layer rather than the necklace layer. But I want to render that too. Get everything just right. Kind of flower shaped. I think that this kind of representation is fine since I want to make everything really straight through there. Okay, I do have a little bit showing right here. There we go. Okay. So I think the way I want to tackle her top is in her chest there. I think I'm going to start with the cloth part and get the million details on that. There are so many. I'm a little afraid. Maybe I won't be able to finish it, but I'm going to try. And at the very least, this part I keep curved. So I don't have to find my instincts. It's a nice feeling. Okay. So I'll be bouncing between a couple of different layers, just due to how I have things organized. It's a little inconvenient. It'll all be okay. There we go, just trying to take my time on that curve. I really wanted to get it right there. So I needed to focus just a little bit. Focus on getting the curve just right. I'm trying not to make it any, like, bigger or smaller than what I had. So I'm kind of working it both directions there. Just to try to make sure that the width stays relatively consistent. But everything still gets smoothed very nicely. Held my breath for that one. Oh, that was a nerve-wracking curve, but I managed to get like most of the way around there, so that was nice. That'll make my life a little bit easier. Don't have to pull quite as many shenanigans. Yeah, and it'll be easy enough to adjust the shadows once I have all of that in. I do think that those curves are looking pretty alright, though. Okay, so let's take a look here. How are they looking? I think that's pretty good. Okay, so the next step, I'm actually going to hide all my shadows for this, is I need to get the shape of this pattern in the center of her shirt. No, it's not a shirt. The top part of her dress. I need to get that pattern doing what it needs to do. Let me see if I can find a good reference of it here. Ooh, this one's quite good. Okay. Alright, I think before I do that, I'm actually going to find the center of her chest here, and I'm going to perfect everything on the body layer. I don't think I have to do that much. I don't think I have to do that much at all. So I'll just get the cleavage going here, and that'll be like the extent of it. Get that nice and smooth. Exactly where it needs to be. And just all that good stuff. And then I'm guessing that this is all part of the body layer. I'm going to erase some of the shadows I have there right now. And I will add them in when the time is right. This layer got renamed somehow. That's unfortunate. Let me fix that. Okay. Back down here. Okay. Here we go. So yeah, I just want to focus on getting that curve right. And then from there, I can find the centers of everything. And once I have that, I should have an easy time getting all the details on there. So here we go. So far, so good, I'd say. I want to kind of zoom out and work out some of the blobs, but no. I should get the exact shape that I want, because I kind of wanted the line to be a little thicker at the bottom here. I think that will actually look pretty good. So I just kind of want to get that shape. Make sure that it's curving very well where the planes change. So like this top part is, until probably right about here, is the top plane, and then this is like a side plane. Oh, I can't color there? Oh, probably transparency mask problems. Yeah, there we go. There should definitely be no transparency there. Okay. Okay, and I think that's good. So now I'm just going to work out some of the blobs. Like right here, I felt like it's a little bit blobby. Is that another transparency problem? It is. Okay. I think all the blobs are just about gone. Just about. Okay, and I think that's good. So now I can focus on getting the patterns on the shirt right. So that I'm gonna have to do in like 2 separate layers, which is annoying, but it'll be fine. So let's see. The way this works is here. I'm gonna just kind of smooth things out there for just a second. This is not the way it works, but there's like a little divot in the middle, and then these two pointy things out on either side. So let's get that there. It's gonna be like... Okay, I don't need to perfect this part of the line, but I do kind of want to know where it goes. So, let's see here. Just kind of like that. I think this is how this curves. The way I have it drawn. So there. I should know roughly where the center of her chest is now. So now I can go into the top layer, and I can get the little thing that kind of comes up on this side. And the little thing that kind of comes up on this side. And then I have that little gap in the middle, and now I should be able to accurately shape her shirt. And everything around here is going to be a little bit more curved. I think it'd be awkward for like some of this to be curved and some of it to be straight. So everything on her top, the top part of her dress here is just going to be curved. Gotta keep it simple. And I can see that I'm going to have to correct some parts of her body there, but that's okay. I will do that when the time comes. Let's get these shapes in first. Get them just right. Okay, and I do have everything, all the shadows on her top hidden for now, which is what I want. I will add them in when they become a little bit more relevant. There we go. I think that's good for that shape. I'm even gonna hide this part, and I'm just gonna invert the color for... Actually, no, that's a bad idea. I was gonna say I was gonna invert the color for skin so I could see a little bit better, but that would also invert the color of the lines here, and that would make things hard. So... not gonna work. Okay, so I'm gonna smooth out some of this. And then I can figure out where the next couple of bumps in the pattern are. Okay, looks good there, I think. So let me go look at the design one more time. There is just like one more little bump. And it is, let's see, so we have here, and then it rolls around and up here. Same on this side, here, rolls around up here. Does that look symmetrical? No, I don't think, I think I got this one right, but I don't feel like I got the one over here quite right. Perspective throwing me off a little. I think that's probably going to be fine. Okay, so let's start getting this red pattern in here now. I'm just going to clear what I have, because I think it is completely wrong. Okay, so the way this pattern works... Ooh, boy, okay. So everything along the top part here is all red. And I'm just going to rough it all in for now. It's going to be very rough for a little bit. There's a little curly part right around here where it does touch the edge. Just barely. And that is where the red starts coming down from this side. So there is a tiny gap there. And let's get the same thing over on this side. I'm going to do both sides together. I think that will be a little bit easier. So over here, I think it's like this. And then we'll get this going in and out like that. And it'll kind of meet in the middle. Kind of go over here like this. I do not think we actually see the bottom of her chest here. So they will not fully meet. Oh boy, okay. How does that work? Okay. I need to get some of the gold part in, otherwise I'm gonna drive myself nuts here. So let's get the gold color. Let's say the easiest part to get that is in the shape, but I don't have that on right now. Grab it from the earring, okay. So let's get some of that curly part in there and see if I can make sense of it after that. So we have the circle going around like this. Circle going around like this. I'm just doing this on the same layer. If I feel like I need another one, I'll make it later. It's fine. And then it kind of goes out like that. So this one is a little bit too small. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. And then kind of goes out like that. Okay, and then on the other side, this part kind of comes around and goes out like this. And we get kind of a cloud shape. And it wraps back up and around over here. And then does a nice little swirl right around here. And it goes up into the edge. I don't think I have that shape quite right, but it's close enough for now. Okay, and then this part actually comes out further. It like almost touches right there. So I gotta get like kind of an extreme curve here. Then the curly bit. Get all the way to the edge here. There we go. I think this is starting to look like the top part of her dress. Okay. So far, so good. Let's do the same to the other side. So we have this part and kind of goes here. Then we get the kind of cloud-like part. And over here comes together. We get real close here. And then what's it do again? Just got to stare at it for a second. Out like here. And then this part will kind of come out a little. Back up. And into the rest of the sleeve. Or, yeah, into the sleeve, I should say. Okay, and then this part is all filled in. This part is all red. This part is all red. Don't worry, it'll get all nice and smooth later. But I need to know what it is I'm trying to draw, because, I mean, can you imagine trying to get all this correct without knowing just the general structure I'm going for? It would never work out. But now I can safely wrap it around her chest and get the shapes that I'm going for exactly as I'm going for them. Okay. Now the next bit, there's like some diamond thorny shapes in the middle. I'm just going to use white for that. And they do something like this. So let's see, the center I think is going to curve like this. So I'll just make it a diamond shape like that. And I don't think that it quite meets at the bottom here. So I think I actually want this to be a little bit bigger at the bottom. And it also needs to be a little bit more centered. There we go. Something like that. I think I want the top part of the diamond to be a little bit longer. So I'll just get that going in there. Gotta curve it on this side because I think that'll look nice. Really make it look like it is just sitting in there. Kind of being squished. All right. And then the next one is a little bit lower. So I'll draw the center line again. Okay, and over here, this one's gonna squish this way. Draw the center line again. Diamond it out. And, no, that one doesn't look good. Let's try again. I might need to squish this side just a little bit more. Okay. So diamond. Or center line, and then diamond. Bottom needs to go a little further this way. There we go. And then there's like a little thorn coming out of the two on the side. And they connect. Just like that. And I don't think I have that quite right, but I think I have it in liquefy range. So let's go ahead and just kind of correct it via liquefy. And I want the middle to be a little bit lower here. Like I said, I do not think that we see the bottom of her chest there. So I don't think that this should go all the way down. And I also need to center this a little bit better. It's supposed to be in the middle. I don't mind kind of squishing this one in a little. Just due to the perspective. Okay, so I think that's probably good. Is there anything else here? There's probably a couple of little ridges that I'm going to paint in black. I'll go ahead and start putting the shadows on then. I think they look okay already. Or like, I think this is all right. For the most part, let's kind of want it to be squished like this, and then a taper off at the bottom here. You know, I'm kind of glad that I put these in now, because now I know which areas I have to clean and which areas I can largely ignore. It's always a nice feeling knowing that I can take it a little bit easy on the pattern. Because man, it's a really complicated pattern. It's really, really complex. Okay. And I think I'm also going to get the shadow part on her skin. But let's get those last couple of details first. So there's like a small ridge going around here. And I think it goes out and then over like this. And stops right about here. Got shape's not quite right, but that's okay. That's definitely enough to get me started. And then we got another like seam kind of going down the side here. Let me really pay attention to its angle. I think it just does something kind of like this. And then another small seam kind of running through here. I probably don't need to be this exact for the level of perfection that I'm at here. Kind of goes in like this. That's it. Okay, so that's everything. Let's go ahead and get the shadows on the skin here. So now I know where everything is. Where everything will be living. So I can safely just plop the shadows on. I want them to look very squished. There we go. Okay, so let's see here. Let's try to get that kind of squish effect that I want. I think that's pretty good. I think I've got everything up there the way I want it. Over here looks good. There's maybe just like a little extra thing there, but that's fine. That's easy enough to deal with. I don't think I want any additional shadows around the hair or this necklace. I think that they do fine with their own shadows here. So I think this is ready for cleaning now. And I'm a little terrified. So I am going to want some lines between the colors here. But they're going to be thin, so I think I'm just going to render it like this. And I'm just going to trust what I drew. I believe. So I'm just going to go right up to the pattern layer, and I'm going to take the colors and just smooth everything. Actually, no. First, I'm going to smooth the top itself. Get those curves just right. And then after that, I can do the patterns. And on her actual design, these parts are quite pointy, so I will be keeping that pointiness. Everything here gets to be as curved as it is in her actual design. I will not be altering it there. Just this once. And then over on this side, I feel like everything goes into shadow hard enough that I do not need to clean up the edges over here. Well, I do on this side. This side needs a little bit of cleaning, but not much. So that is very, very nice. I get to take it a little bit easy. Okay, let's just go ahead and clean up this edge here. Just got a little bit blurry up at the top, but that's it. And then I see some excess skin sticking out. I'm just going to go erase that now. No problem. I actually do really feel like the outside on the other side is like perfect. So let's get over through here. Just perfect that curve. I think I actually got most of it already. Most of it. Let's see, are you just like, yeah, you're a little bit of shadow that got a little bit in the wrong spot. A little bit excited. Okay. So I think that's all good now. So now I'll finish the pattern. Like I said, I'm just gonna believe. I think it looks good. So I'm just gonna trust. And whatever I have drawn here, I will just smooth. Oh, okay. I guess, actually, yeah, before I smooth out the pattern, I'm gonna smooth out the shadow. Because I think once I have the shadow there, it will tell me exactly what I need to care about, because a lot of this is just fading to black. And I don't have to care about anything that's just fading to black. It's just black. Not my problem. So I'll get that just right, and then I can do the pattern. What can I say? I like drawing patterns. I think I mentioned a while back that one of my personal art influences is like super ancient art. We're talking like the Incas, the ancient Egyptians, and stuff like that. And they do all kinds of really cool things with patterns. So I just ended up really liking to draw them. Sometimes I wonder if that's why I just get so into the details on everything I draw. Just because I see them and I think they look really nice, and I think it's always a little bit of a shame to leave them out. Just want to taper that edge off nicely, and I think the only other shadow is like over here, where it kind of turns in from a shadow on the lower part of her chest into a line. So just like that. And I don't mind that I kind of erased that little line there. Don't worry, he'll come back later. But that let me get that line nice and smooth, so that was worth it. It's okay to erase things. And just put them back later. Just like it's okay to do things in just about any order. Okay. So let's see, I think this is all okay. Yeah, this all looks pretty clean, at least the parts that are on the dress layer itself. The other parts are on the skin. I guess I'll go smooth that out too, just so it doesn't bother me. Because right now it kind of does. Let's see, in my original thing, this was all drawn directly on the skin layer. I guess I'll still do that. Just so I can really make that cleavage line exactly right. Okay. And I think that's good. So now I can focus on just smoothing out this one. Just let the whole thing fade to black. Okay, and I just want a little tiny bump right there. So this way it follows the top a little bit better. I get the feeling that this is technically anime clothes and it's like sticking to her skin like a alien parasite, but, you know, I can do what I want. And I have decided it is leaving a little bit of a shadow. Same with right there. I just want a tiny, tiny little indication of a shadow here. And I can send that all the way up and around. Smooth out all the lines, and I think that's good. Looks good to me. Let's see, are you all... Is that a transparency thing? I swear, I keep finding them. No, that's not a transparency thing. That's just a spot that I must not have colored in. No? What the heck are you, then? Okay, I'm really zoomed in, so I should be able to get rid of any layer I want. What the heck is that? Okay, it's something on the necklace. Okay. Well, I have no idea what caused that, but I found it, so now I can get rid of it. Okay. Yeah, looking good. Okay. Let's see if I can wrangle this pattern in the next... What, 30 minutes? Yeah, no problem. I can do that. It's not that complicated. Let's go. I believe in myself. Right, we're gonna finish her entire upper body here today. Well, no, I'm not doing the arms yet. Maybe I can get started. I doubt I can finish it. Alright. I'll do my best. Always do my best. What's going on right there? Okay. It's okay. If I can't quite see what I was trying to do, I can just hide the shadow layer real quick. Take a look. Fill it in. All right, and there's the curve, and I think that's great. So now I can move on to the next part, which is going to be some of these gold lines. How thick are they? I think I have them way too thick right now. Not as bad as I thought, actually. Okay. Too thick? Yes, but not as bad as I thought. So I actually want the white here. And see, this is why I wasn't worried about erasing this line, because I knew I'd probably be moving it. This one, I think, is a little bit more reliable, because this is defined by the edge of her body as opposed to a pattern. And the pattern I knew was not quite right yet. It was going to take a lot of smoothing to get it right. So just for the sake of my sanity, I'm actually just going to completely kill this line. I think I'm going to do the same with this one. Actually, no, that one looks a little more accurate. I'll leave it, and if I decide to kill it when I get there, then, you know, I can do that. I don't need to jump the gun. I can give it a chance. Okay. So I'm just flipping back and forth to the reference a lot. Because it is, you know, I say it's not that complicated. It's really not. But it's complicated enough. It's complicated enough that I really want to make sure that I'm drawing it accurately. This part needs to be going down more. It's not pointing the right direction. No, I was looking at the wrong spot. Okay. Let's liquefy that a little bit before I clean it. I want to get the shape right. This goes over here, this goes over here. There's only like a tiny gap between these. And you are very round. Okay, and then at the bottom there, this part should be facing way more this way. Like, way more. Okay, and then this bottom piece, lower, but otherwise okay. I should not be this zoomed in while trying to figure this out. I'm gonna throw myself off if I keep doing that. Okay, so this longer, and it has a particular curl to it. It's actually quite curly. Over here, down, out, up. Yes. Up here, out here, down here, but up here. More red. Okay. These two squish a little more together. Gotta thin the gold part again. This should not curve in quite so much. Perfect. Okay. Much better. And this side is so in shadow. I am honestly a little bit less worried about it, so you know what? I'm just gonna go do it now. I'm gonna go draw this part. This part looks a little easier. Oh, yeah, I'm still in liquefy. Okay, we can liquefy it. So this part should come out a little. Hold on. I poked that part. I don't want to poke that part. Down, up, over, up. Okay. Gotta make the line a little thinner. And I need to hide this just for a second, just so I can actually see what's going on underneath. It's gonna be something like this. I just felt like this part needed to show a little bit more. Then we get the circle. And then this part comes out like that. And I think that's all I have to care about. So I think that'll be perfect. Okay. So sure, let's go ahead and render this side first, just because it'll be easy. Let's do the easy part. Make me feel good about myself. Okay. Still gonna stare very much at what I need to be doing here, because I am terrified. Okay. Oh, I have red right now. Let's make that white. This is one thing I like to do often. You'll find that stylistically, I use very few colors in general, and that's just because I really, really like being able to hit X on the keyboard to quickly switch between colors, so I'll often work in color pairs. And I just find that way easier than constantly color picking. Pressing X, very easy. Pressing Control, finding a place to pick a reliable color. All that stuff, annoying. Way harder than just pressing X. So I tend to work with two colors whenever possible. That was a stylistic choice defined by workflow preferences. Because you know, that kind of thing can influence your style too. I think it's always funny how that works out. That's always why I say, if you're worried about finding a style, don't. Just draw. Keep drawing. And if you really, really, really just want to try things, then, you know, find art you like and figure out why you like it, and then draw like that. Incorporate some of those things into what you do. Because I think what it comes down to is style is just a collection of things that you think are cool, things that you like, combined with how you do it. That's why my styles are generally lineless, because I don't do line art. So, there you go. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go put the black line around this now. Is that thin enough? No, it's too thick on this side. It's thicker on one side and thinner on the other. What about the rest? Are you good? Yeah, I think the rest is good, so I'll go ahead and just line this right now. I want to get a really nice curve. So I'm going to focus. Okay, one down, many more to go. But it is a lot easier to do when I focus. Oh, too thick there. Okay, so yes. Yes. Okay. Let's get this guy. Let's get it out of the way here. Got straight lines now, which are also hard, so gotta focus again. I am determined to get this done. So I might focus a little bit more at the end here. Okay. It actually is significantly harder for me to talk and draw at the same time than when I don't have to talk. And I draw a lot faster too when I don't have to talk. But you know, it's worth it. I love being here. It's way more fun just kind of explaining what I'm doing and all of that. Unironically, it really is. It's great. I have a really good time, and it has taught me so much about how I actually approach things, and I have been able to notice many things about my approach that I don't think I ever would have if I didn't stream. So I am just always so happy to be here. I learn so much. And I really like seeing people, you know, coming on and enjoying what I'm doing. It means a lot to me. Nothing has made me want to improve my art harder than being able to make the stream better. So let's see, it's a little thinner back there. I remember that detail. Now I can get these nice and pointy. Well, yeah, you can see why I wanted to keep the curves here. I mean, can you imagine trying to square this off with this being so round? Or trying to make a breast square and still have them feel the way they should? Look the way they should? It's like, I can't, so that's why I didn't do it. They need to have a particular quality to it, and one of those qualities is round. At least for this character. I think for characters with a smaller chest, it's easier to make them sharper as opposed to very round. But, you know, moot point here because she does not have that kind of shape. And I just think it would be... it would feel wrong for these to be rigid and sharp like everything else. That's why I didn't do it with the eyes. I felt like it would be wrong for the eyes, too. Okay, and I feel like this line is completely wrong now, so I'm gonna go ahead and erase it. Turns out I did in the end anyway, but it's okay. I'm glad I waited. And then I'll just need to deblobify that line. Okay. How am I doing in terms of thickness? Okay, looks good to me. And I'm also realizing that I think I can just keep the red and the gold without switching to white, because I can just erase instead. So that'll let me switch between two colors and have a slightly easier time. Feels good. And I get these lines a little bit closer to each other. And now I can perfect this curve. Get it just right. Oh yeah, that's a good curve. Okay, what does that part look like? It's a little bit more fluid than what I have. So what I need to do... I need to come up and around here and then through there. follow that edge perfectly. Yeah. Just like that. Just like that. Okay, and now I can get this line thickness just right and also nice and smooth. And I think that's the last part of the pattern. So after that, I can get the lines on there. And that'll finish everything off. I find that when I get a little bit of a fire under me and I'm just like, I really want to finish this part, I draw it a little bit faster. I should do that without the time crunch. That would be good. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try to lock in on things a little bit harder, chill out a little bit less. So I just want to go. Go and do all the things. Right. Don't erase there. Just trying to figure out this little curve here. I want to get it right. There. Okay, let's zoom out and take a look, but I think that looks pretty good. I'd say so. I think that looks reasonably accurate here. So let's go ahead. I'll get the lines on there. I think for this side I just did it on the same layer, but for this side I think I'm going to do it on the other one. I already have it, it's fine. Okay, so now I just zoom in and I'm going to focus again, so I'm going to get a little quiet because I want to get these right the first couple of tries here. This is probably the hardest remaining part, so here we go. I have my brush too big. There we go. Okay, so I'm just painting very carefully, moving my entire arm rather than just like my wrist. So that's what they mean by a drawing with your elbow, if you've ever heard that. Where the idea is basically to let your whole arm move and let everything flow and don't move your hand that much. It's a little bit easier. Gets you some very nice curves if you do it right. Fortunately, because I'm drawing this on a separate layer, I don't have to get it completely perfect. I can fill in the gaps and erase anything I don't need at the end. So I don't have to be quite as precise as I was on the other side. That is why I decided to do it on the new layer. No, that's no good. Okay. So yeah, you can see that I kind of changed my mind a couple of times there. And that's fine, I can do that. I hate it. It's like too thick. I'm changing the curve too much there. Okay, there's fine, except for like right there. I can just erase that though. Okay. Yeah, this should look fine once I fix the colors. Okay, and there we go. Phew! Okay, sorry I had to get a little bit quiet there, but I was determined to try to finish this out. So now I can just kind of go back to the lower layer and adjust the colors where they are now bleeding or just not in the right spots. But I think my lines were close enough, as they say. So I think it should still look good once I zoom out. And I'm just gonna go ahead and get all the little seams and stuff before I zoom out again. And I might have to touch up the lines in a few places, like here, for example. I don't mind that the width is not 100% consistent. But I do want to touch up just a couple of places. There we go. That's much better. Okay. So fill in all these little spots here. And over here. And right there. Perfect. Okay, let's touch up this line. I actually think it's a little thick, so I'm gonna taper it off a little. Once again, I'm gonna focus just a little bit so that this way I can actually finish this today. So I got less than 10 minutes here. So I do want to make sure that I get it done. I am determined. And I want to make sure that they're joined here nicely. Not too thick, not too thin. And then I just need to get this a little bit more of a consistent width all the way through. And it should look pretty good. That was the one complaint I had with this line. And you know, if that's the only complaint I have, it's looking pretty good. Just trust me, I'm very good at complaining if I don't watch myself. Okay. I see a few blobs there. So I'm gonna work those out real quick. And then I think all is well. Okay, I think all is well there. So let's see, there's two more. This one I feel like starts here. And just kind of comes out. I want it to be thinner than that. and just up it around, and I'm going to try to do it all in one stroke. That's too thick. There we go. I think that's pretty good. And the last one. Okay. Goes like that. There we go, and this one will also be over here, so I'll go ahead and draw it. There. Okay, and I think that's everything. So there we go. The top, her top part of her dress and chest basically done. There. One more detail, just one, and I wanted to add just like a little bit of red right through here, much like I did on her cheeks. I don't want to overdo it. It's going to be very faint. Even that I think is a little bit too much. So actually, I think I'm going to do it on a separate layer so that this way I can erase. But I almost forgot that I wanted to do this. And then I can kind of take it back. But trust me, this will look nice when it's... Okay, and then here, I'm going to add just a little highlight. Like right about there. Oh wait, no, I should let it be round. I forgot that here we're letting things be round, so I can just let it be nice and round. Yes? No, lower. Right, I put you there, so I do have to select what I want to move. Okay, lower. Right about there, and then I'm gonna go back to the red layer, and I wanna shape it a little. Make the shape a little bit better. Okay, and I think that's good. Now let's go ahead and shape the highlight itself. I feel like that might be a little bit strong as a bump. But I just mostly don't want this to be blobby. Okay, and that should be good. So there we go. Now the chest is done for real. And this will be indeed where I stop for today. But I think it's coming along. Hopefully next time I can at least get the arms. But I'm going to try to go. I'm looking forward to Wednesday. Because I'm going to try to go a little faster. Because I feel like I was able to get the top part of her dress done pretty quick. So it's like if I can do that again, then maybe I can make a little bit more progress. And not get, you know, stuck on, like, the necklace here. That's the kind of thing that I want to improve more than anything right now. Just being able to go in there and actually get things done. But this is where I will stop for today, so thank you all for coming. And I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow.